This interview is for information only and should not be considered as investment advice or a recommendation to buy shares in the company featured. Welcome to this Stockbox interview. Joining us today is Andrew Bell, the CEO of Red Rock Resources. Hello, Andrew. How are you doing?
Very well, thanks, Mark.
Yes, it's good to be speaking to you, Andrew. So the company has released two updates, one on Australia, one on Kenya. Let's start with the Australian joint venture update. So this is it the formalising of the agreement here? Is that what this RNS is really all about? And you can now, and I think there was some exploration licenses granted, but are we now able to press on with Australia?
I think the exploration license granted in Victoria is important. The fact that we won the ballot on this property next to Rumble in WA in the Patterson is really interesting. And we've got some exploration results. You know, we've been using arsenic as a pathfinder to find gold. And if you look at ECR's announcement this morning, you can see that they've been doing that with their drilling. They found that arsenic is a really good pathfinder for gold in this region. So there's all of that. And as you say, we've done the share swap between New Ballarat Gold Corporation and Red Rock Australasia. So now the name of Red Rock Australasia Limited sort of fades out of the scene. It continues to exist as a license holding entity in Australia, but the public face is now New Ballarat Gold Corporation. And of course, it's a UK PLC. That is now the entity that's active. The UK PLC has been incorporated with the idea that this becomes a listed entity. So we're heading for the listing, full speed now.
Okay, well, this is good news then, isn't it? So what would be the next stage there with the Australian projects and New Ballarat Gold Corp?
The competent persons report, the geological report, we had done, of course, with the huge amount of progress we've made with targeting and identifying the places we're going to drill and doing this anomaly testing and work on the ground. And, of course, grant of new licenses. A few things have changed. So we've had that competent persons report updated, and the person doing the CPR was quite busy. So we've got after a lot of toing and froing, we've got the final version of that came in, I think, yesterday. So now we've got the competent persons report, we've got a grant of a critical mass of licenses, and we're about to start drilling. You know, that's days away. We'll come out with an announcement, no doubt, when we start. So watch this space. But we'll get a decent amount done before Christmas, I think. And then the next announcements will be in the name of New Ballarat Gold Corporation as it proceeds towards listing.
Okay, well, let's look at Kenya then. And you've released an exploration update. I understand that you've completed some reverse circulation drilling. You've drilled 17 holes and you've completed, I think, 1,744 metres of drilling in total. And some of the samples have already been sent for testing at the laboratory in Tanzania. So what's been going on in terms of exploration at Kenya and what's standing out to you?
Well, we've got our resource, and we reduced the resource a bit when we got it recalculated by CSA, who did the original one a few years ago, because we wanted it to be compliant with JORC 2012. And so now, having done that as a sort of baseline in the spring, 720,000 ounces plus, we are doing the drilling to go along strike there, to extend in various ways, to test the areas where we've got high-grade mineralization. We're still only touching the surface of this, but that's a lot of the work that's being done at the moment. And we've focused it in just one central area, KKM Central, and we've got 3 or 4 other areas to test. And there's an area that was never even included in the resource because 10 diamond holes have historically been put there, but they're a bit too far apart to be able to tie them together in a resource. We're going to put a few more holes in there with our next drill program, and we're going to bring that up to a resource, we hope. So we're doing very useful work, which at relatively low cost should add quite a lot of ounces.
Okay. So you're looking with this drilling to increase the resource that you've got in the ground.
Yes, maybe this first 2,000 meters or so of RC, maybe, that would only add X tens of thousands of ounces. So we may say we wait till the next resource and then we put it together and try to get back in to a higher quality million ounce resource.
Okay.
But that should be quite quick. And then what we'd be looking to do in the next year is certainly get it to 1.3, 1.5 million ounces. That's definitely going to be the target.
Okay.
And we've got to do enough drilling to do that.
Okay.
And we know where we're going to do it. But when we came into this in 2010, there was a resource that really needed to be upgraded and to be defined by one of the major firms so that we had a data room that any major, if we were talking to them, could come and look at. We wouldn't be ashamed. We'd have the stuff there too. So since we got the licenses restored, that whole area, which is more than half of our license area, we have done a lot of geophysics on. We have our own geophysics equipment, our own geophysics teams in-house, and we have identified 5 or 6 first-rate targets that we're now going to be going for.
Okay. And you say the target, you're hoping 1.5 million ounces?
Well, that's what, the more you drill, the more you're going to find, because this is going to be a multi-million ounce deposit, in my view. It's a function of how much you can spend on exploration and how good at the exploration you are, how quickly you can get there. I mean, even at North Mara, they didn't do it immediately. Started mining in 2002, 2003, started with an open pit. Eventually, from the open pit, they went underground. Then when Barrick came in with a lot more money and probably more expertise in the last 3 or 4 years, they have really gone for it, and they have been able to bring to light the potential of that resource. I really do believe we are similar, where we're far and away the best asset in Kenya.
Okay. And are you also looking to expand your exploration as well? I noticed in the RNS you talk about gradient array induced polarization and also some magnetic surveys taking place. So what is the purpose of these?
Yeah, well, if we've done, say, auger drilling, we've done geochemistry, we know a bit about structure, we've got the previous mapping that's been done a bit of mapping of our own. What's the missing element in order to focus the drilling? You have to be very precise in your drilling to find gold, to do it efficiently, and to do it at minimal cost. So the thing we are now doing, or have been doing this year, has been doing geophysics. And by doing that geophysics, we start off with magnetics, then we do gradient IP, which is a kind of reconnaissance level IP. And then in the areas where we get good results, we focus right in and do that pole dipole IP that gives us some, incredibly useful data from that ground geophysics that we can interpret, we can process, we can do inversions and interpretations. And we're just at that stage now on some of these targets. When we've done that, our ability to position our drill holes optimally increases greatly. And of course, drilling and then sampling your drill results these are the 2 most expensive things you do. And so anything you can do to optimize your drilling program is going to save you money and mean that you're spending less dollars per ounce of resource discovered.
Okay. Now, a couple of things I did notice that stood out to me in the RNS, Andrew, was that you say the chairman of the Mineral Rights Board and his team and the governor of Migori had actually visited the camp. So could you explain a little bit more about perhaps why they wanted to visit and what their thoughts were? But go on.
Actually, yes, I can. Very, very easy. The Mineral Rights Board has been set up under the New Mining Act and has some representatives from different ministries as well as from the mining ministry. And it acts as a kind of supervisory board for the activities of the Ministry of Mines or Natural Resources. And the chairman of the MRB was coming to somewhere nearby, Kisumu. They try to get around the country and see what's there. And our project manager had been talking to him and suggested he come and visit us and see our drilling as well when it was in process. And he accepted with alacrity, turned up with one or two, or I think 3 members of his team. And so we gave them a video presentation in the camp, answered questions, had a discussion, got some very useful feedback from them. And then they went and looked at the drilling and saw what we were doing there. And also we paid a visit to the site of the old Macalda copper mine, where there are a lot of artisanal miners who are burrowing in deep underground and trying to find copper or gold. The governor then came a few days later. We've invited him at points in the past, but thanks largely to our excellent project manager, we've now got a really good, productive, ongoing relationship with him. We keep him and the council very well informed. And he kindly came along on Sunday and let us show him around and explain everything to him, saw the mining. And he was very pleased. And he's leaving office next year at the time of the elections when there are term limits. And he's been building a CIP plant locally. And you never know, we might be doing business in future.
Okay, excellent. What about the RNS when it talks about applications are being prepared for a mining license and a mineral processing license? Does this suggest that you're taking this to a mine and want to be able to process the ore on site?
Yes, historically, we were progressing towards a mining lease in one area of the hard rock mining, and we had put in a mining lease application at the tailings. And with elections and politics, these things got buried in the ministry, but we put them in, they were all stamped and receipted. And what we're doing is now we've got the license back a year ago, we're brushing that off and progressing it, which means we need, for example, to update the environmental impact assessment, which wasn't quite complete. And that is being done as we speak. We will also need to do some other work, revisit our feasibility. For example, the copper that's in there, sort of 0.3%, that didn't look like, it looked like something you'd leave strictly alone because it may be partly refractory anyway. A few years ago when we looked at this, now with today's copper prices, we're looking at it again and saying, that's quite interesting. Sort of 40,000 tons of copper. Maybe we can extract that as well as the gold from the tailings. So we're starting to do that work, and we're dealing with the local council, who we have to deal with to get a mining lease, as well as because they're one of the stakeholders. And we have technically landowners' consent from the council's predecessor in title, but they're unhappy about that because it was so far in the past, and they say, "Oh, we're not that council now. Legally we're in the right, but on the other hand, we have to do a deal with them in order to move forward to get a lease, because all the parties have to come together and agree on that." So we are engaging with them constructively on that as well. So as far as the mining lease, so that's getting the consent. Getting the processing license, we can do that directly with the ministry. Sort of getting our mining lease application, or mining license application progressed. At the moment, there's a moratorium on new applications. Whether they consider this a new application, or whether it's one that's been in abeyance, never been responded to for some time, is something we will have to find out as we go along. But we're making progress. We're going to make great progress. We're on this matter the whole time. And look at how much we've done already.
Well, Andrew Bell, the CEO of Red Rock Resources, thank you very much for that update.
Thank you.
If you enjoyed this interview, then give us a thumbs up, a like or a retweet. Subscribe to us on YouTube or follow us on Twitter and hit that notification bell to be the first to know when we release new content. There's loads of great content on our website too, across all our programs at stockboxmedia.com. Thank you for watching.